NBC News has new reporting on Donald Trump's search for a running mate, focusing in on North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, and Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. So they were the front runners, we believed. They've been on the short list. We've seen them all with the former president in recent days extolling his virtues.
Were they the front runners? I feel like there was a Tim Scott in there somewhere. Whatever happened to him? Yes, the short list of Trump's Veep has been shortened even more. And now it is just JD Vance, Marco Rubio, and Doug Burgum likely. But the real story is what's happening behind the scenes and who is the devil and the angel, or in Trump's case, just multiple devils on his shoulder telling him what to do. And it seems like there's a multi-prong proxy war happening surrounding Trump's Veep pick. So this is according to a report by Puck's Tara Palmeri that says that there's conservative figures, including the likes of Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Charlie Kirk, and Rupert Murdoch. How is Kirk on this list? I'm sorry, like how does he have anyone's ear? But anyway, I digress.
Did you see his white boy summer thing that he did?
I'm just like, yeah, Murdoch I get, Carlson I get, like Hannity. Okay, anyway, let's talk about this. So in 1 year, Trump has Tucker Carlson and Charlie Kirk, okay, so he's attached, advocating for JD Vance. They like him because his isolationism, supposedly, I guess, kind of libertarian streak. And Kirk explained this to Palmeri, the reporter. Trump's been very impressed with JD's ability to defend himself publicly on TV in adversarial and kind of difficult environments. I think he's looking for a Rust Belt boost. He's the only candidate that has ties to that region. That is a good reason. Meanwhile, however, we got Sean Hannity. So Sean Hannity, still a current Fox News host, unlike others, is pushing for Marco Rubio in the year 2024. Okay, so Trump and Hannity have a history, this is according to Palmeri, of pillow talk. I really am sad that I had to read that. Gabbing about policy, personnel, and endorsements. Some have argued that Rubio softens Trump and may help him maintain his gain with Hispanic voters. Hannity has always been close to Rubio, said a Vance proponent, pointing to their efforts in 2013 to advance an amnesty bill that they've all run away from because Republicans and amnesty now don't go together. Okay, but I want to turn it to y'all, but before I do this last thing, which is Carlson. Tucker Carlson's weighing in here. And a lot of people are like, well, why does Trump even listen to Carlson? Right? Like Tucker Carlson, we remember those tapes where he was like talking a bunch of crap about him, saying, that he doesn't actually like him, he doesn't believe in him, he thinks he's an idiot. But that doesn't matter. According to a Trump advisor, Trump craves his approval because he's high wasp. Yes, it's that laugh. It's sort of diabolical and, like boarding school.
Obnoxiously fake laugh.
Yeah, it's like the laugh that you hear when someone's giving you like a swirly for being brown. Anyway, so also Jason Miller, Trump campaign spokesperson, said President Trump's a big fan of Tucker Carlson. I think the feeling is mutual. So yeah.
Not really. Tucker Carlson hates him. We know that for a fact.
I mean, yeah, so okay. Lastly, before we discuss, there's a tussle for influence again between Hannity and Carlson. Longtime Trump aides predict the former president will lean towards Carlson because he's kind of the country club Republican whose approval Trump craves, unlike Hannity, an outer borough guy just like himself. When I brought up Carlson's infamous text messages, a Trump advisor told me that the incident just means Trump, quote, craves his approval even more. So Cenk, maybe that makes him like him even harder.
Well, I actually think that that's super relevant. I do, because Trump is a simple guy, and so I remember the story that we covered a long time ago when he was first running in 2016 about how he had invited Steve Wynn to a party, and there were other wealthy people, and he kept going around telling everybody, Steve Wynn's gonna come, Steve Wynn's gonna come, because Steve Wynn's actually wealthy, right? And Donald Trump's pretending to be wealthy. So he wants the approval of other people so bad. There was a second story about how a guy was very wealthy and used to go to these high-end parties in New York, but then he lost all his money, and when he came, everybody looked at him like with shame. And Donald Trump thought that was the worst fate that anybody could possibly have. And he was just dying to make sure he never was in that kind of situation. So this seeking of approval from other wealthy white people is what Donald Trump has been doing his whole life, going all the way back to his dad. And remember, his dad was always told him he's an idiot, because that's the one thing his dad was right about. and never gave him approval. But he did give him $413 million, which his son bungled away. So that's why he's constantly looking for approval, because he's a moron who's never been able to make any money, never gotten into any of these like inner circles of the elite that he wants. You think he wants to be a populist? No, he's been dying to be an elitist his whole life. That's why he said, I don't want poor people in my cabinet. I just want rich people. He always wants to surround himself with rich people. He
did say that.
Yeah, he literally said that.
I forgot he said that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So anyway.
But the proxy war, right? Because I'm just glad they're not choosing actually Carlson to be the running mate. I mean, and these guys know they're too unlikable to ever be a running mate, but you've got Carlson angling for JD Vance. And then you've got, Hannity angling for Marco Rubio. Personally, I think it's gonna be Vance over Rubio because he's just far more relevant, but he's also a total like disingenuous snake who compared Trump to Hitler not so long ago. Then he got a bunch of Peter Thiel money and he was like, no, I can be a libertarian and I'm gonna carry. He's actually the perfect Pence, guys. He's the perfect Mike Pence.
Yeah, he has the right amount of shamelessness in there because like you pointed out, it wasn't long ago where he was like, Trump's an but now he's like, well, hearts change. And the craziest thing about that to me is it's like, opinions change, but when you're a fully grown adult, things typically don't just 180 like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just a reflection that your judgment must be poor and you probably shouldn't be a vice president since your judgment of people is so terrible. So
yeah,
there's that.
So I just want to be clear. None of us have any idea who's going to be vice president. And he's going to pick in the last 5 minutes, okay? But there are people who I think are very unlikely and people who are more likely. So let me just eliminate someone that they're talking, like if you see a name on TV, that instantly makes him less likely. Because why? Because the people on TV will always tell you that the most pro-corporate, most pro-establishment neocons are the ones that are most likely. Everybody's talking about it. It's got to be Rubio. It's Rubio, right?
I love your impression of liberal media. Is my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
and then they said Rubio softens Trump. Like,
yeah, you think Trump wants to be softened? So. And Rubio was also the guy that they all said was going to beat Trump in 2016. And I remember the days, and we covered it. Rubio, everybody Rubio. He's an ass kisser that's going to serve all of us. Yeah, Rubio, right? It's definitely not going to be Marco Rubio. First of all, there's a giant problem. They're from the same state. It's going to cause a constitutional issue for no reason. You could pick from 49 other states. Second of all, Trump doesn't respect Rubio. He thinks he's a boy.
Yeah.
And he's right. So. And there's no advantage in picking Rubio.
No.
If you're going to
pick
pick
a swing state anymore, Florida.
Yeah, if you're going to pick an establishment candidate, he's going to pick other people like Tom Cotton or Elise Stefanik or Doug Burgum. Okay.
Well, let's talk about Doug for 2 seconds. Sorry, because I forgot to mention that Murdoch's in on this proxy war. He does want Doug Burgum. He's trying to be another devil on Trump's shoulder to say, do Doug Burgum. Let's go Doug Burgum. So according to multiple sources, again, Palmeri's report, Murdoch doesn't have a preference between Burgum and Rubio, but he really doesn't want Vance. Hence, the New York Post editorial this week naming Burgum as Trump's best choice and Rubio as a strong runner-up. The editorial compares Vance to Trump apostate Ann Coulter, calling him plenty bright, solidly right, but a bit erratic. And then, of course, mentions that he called Trump America's Hitler in a private text message. So there again, Burgum or Rubio, but a little bit more to point. I literally don't know who Doug Burgum is.
So Doug Burgum is actually my favorite pick. So that doesn't speak well of his chances. So he's, of course, governor of North Dakota, and he ran a business. I had the misfortune of watching all the Republican debates. It's a very, very, very low bar, but he is by far the most reasonable. So I don't know if that cuts against him or in favor of him.
Brows on fleek, I mean.
Yeah,
he's, right, for real.
He's a strange dude, right? But I already said he's a Republican. But like among the murderer's row of horrible people in that bucket, I think he's clearly the best. So again, that might damn his chances. But so don't sleep on Tim Scott and Ben Carson.
No?
Because Donald Trump loves people who check off a box and don't say a damn word and shut up and play their role. And Tim Scott and Ben Carson have both raised their hand and say, I will do whatever you tell me. I won't be like Mike Pence. You tell me to jump, I'll ask how high, because I love you, as Tim Scott said. And Ben Carson said,
yeah, Ben Carson raised his hand very slowly.
Yeah, so they check, like Mike Pence checked off the box of the evangelical voters that he thought he needed.
Yeah.
Scott and Carson checks off the box of the minority voters that he thinks he needs, and they don't speak, so they don't get to outshine him, etc. So that's possible. But also, like I said, don't sleep on Elise Stefanik. A lot of the donors want her, and so if Miriam Adelson says $100 million, but Stefanik is your VP.
Miriam.
Stefanik is his VP, period. And that's how it works. That's the only way that Trump makes a decision before 5 minutes before making the decision. Like if a donor says, here's a check, and now you do as you're told, he will listen. So if the check is large enough. JD Vance, called him America's Hitler earlier, but remember, he craves the approval of people who diss him. And to be fair to Trump, the one thing he has is he's very transactional. So he forgives people the worst transgressions as long as they get on their knees.
Yes.
And say, okay, now you're the almighty. But I mean, of course, what a hilarious note here. I mean, look at these politicians, just like Jackson said. You go from America's Hitler to I would love to serve him when he gets back into office and takes this country in God knows what direction. People like JD Vance have no morality at all. Their core is empty.
Yes, but that's actually perfect because if you're gonna need someone to explain neo-fascism and a Trump 2.0 and Project 2025 to the American people in a way that doesn't scare them. You guys remember when Stephen Miller was put on air and everyone was like, whoa, 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 this guy is a Nazi. This is, hello, are you for real? And it was like, okay, don't put Stephen Miller on air. No more Stephen Miller interviews. He's too weird, a little bit weird for us even, right? JD Vance is that perfect sweet spot. He can go on, mainstream news. He can make it seem like, the deportations of Palestine protesters, that's actually for their own good. It's like a study abroad. They'll love it. Like he is going to be a perfect guy to run cover, do the PR for everything that's in store for another Trump administration.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'd be strong for that. Tom Cotton may be a little bit too strong-willed, he may be, but at the end of the day, like you pointed out, Cenk, nobody knows who the hell he's gonna pick.
Yeah,
because he's always scatterbrained, but also he's dealing with the prospects of going to prison if he doesn't win in November. So I think that's more on his mind than anything else. How could it not be?
So Franny made a good point a minute before we started, which is if all he cares about is winning, and man, does he care about winning, there's a no-brainer pick. RFK Jr.
There's a worm-brainer pick, RFK Jr. No, I truly think, I've just had this feeling about 2024, I don't know, something in the universe and the air. But no, I think if he wants to win, he picks RFK. I don't think the bridge has been burned completely. And I'm actually sad that RFK didn't qualify for the first debate because I think it would force him to go negative on RFK a little more and would definitely nix him out of being a running mate, in my opinion, maybe not. So, I think that's the winning ticket. Trump Kennedy, Trump RFK, are you kidding me? That will win every single time.
And look, I'll double down on it. They're crazy not to do it. It's a guaranteed win. I mean, RFK is between 10 and 15 points. Who doesn't want an extra 10 to 15 points? Oh, right, Joe Biden. So look at these two guys that are running. They're so unbelievable. Joe Biden has given up 30 points among the critical youth vote because he doesn't want to defy Israel. So he's like, I'd rather lose than defy Israel. And then Trump giving up 10 to 15 points if you don't put RFK Jr. on your ticket. Do either one of you want to win?
Yeah.
Right? And so, let's be honest. We might not like that scenario at all, but Trump Kennedy, and think about it, it's Trump Kennedy. You want to talk about a high wasp?
Yeah, you want to.
He's not wasp. He's Catholic.
It'd be Kennedy Trump, really, but
no. You getting the approval of the Kennedys for Donald Trump?
No, the Kennedy, the whole family's like, yay, Biden.
Of course, but that's how Trump will perceive it.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on Kennedy.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges, You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.